Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time zone you're in. It's afternoon here in Atlanta, but I realize that it's still morning out on the West Coast. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, people from all over the world. That's right, we're here today doing our master classes, and you might notice this is a different time slot. Sometimes we're doing them on Fridays, sometimes we're not. Sometimes it's a different time. This is all in flux right now. And I apologize for all the confusion and people sending me a message on social saying, "Hey, is the master class today? I don't see you live," so forth and so on. So yeah, it's been changing. So just stay tuned to my social channels, which you can follow up there in the corner, and I will do my best to always post, days in advance when I'm going to have a masterclass. If you don't see me post days in advance, then most likely it's not happening on a Friday. And also as a reminder, because I did remind people on the last one I kind of did on my own channels. We're back on Behance today and my own channels. But if you are watching this on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Twitch, wherever you're watching it, great. You can hang out there. I will, unless there's some technical difficulty, I will always be on those channels. But I'll only be on the Behance Adobe Live channel on specific days. So I have the masterclass once or twice a month now, and I have my new photography show like once a month. So we already did the first episode of that. You can go check that out at my YouTube at terrywhite.tv. You can probably find it here on Behance as well. If you are watching or want to watch on Behance, head over to b.net/Adobe Live. That is where I will be looking at the main chat for today, where I see Patrick and Oliver and Robert and Steve and Sam and Andrew. So I see all those folks over on Behance today, and I see, of course, Susan over on LinkedIn and Maurice Robertson in the house over on Facebook. So we got people coming from all over, and that's cool, that's great. But like I said, the main chat I'll be focused on today is Behance. If I see your question on the other platforms, I'll try and answer it. But that's what's going on today. So welcome back. It's been kind of a while since I was on Adobe Live. And like I said, today we're going to be doing, or I haven't said, today we're going to be doing a regular traditional masterclass on Lightroom this time, Lightroom Classic. We're going to talk about how you can use Lightroom Classic to create a behind the scenes video, or basically any video of your storytelling, video of your last shoot, video of your last trip, video of your behind the scenes, whatever it is. We're going to show you how you can actually create those videos right inside of Lightroom Classic in kind of a way that most people don't think of. And even if you've never shot video before, even if you've never edited video before, you don't have to be afraid. This is all in Lightroom Classic. You don't have to learn a new program. It's all the stuff you already know how to do. We're just going to show you how to put it together as a video, export out a video that you can post on social or YouTube or wherever you like to post your videos, or send it to somebody if you just want to send it to somebody. So we're going to do that. And this is kind of fun because, again, I get to show you some things that have been in Lightroom Classic for years, but again, people don't think of using it this way. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off, turn that on, and we're here in Lightroom Classic. And I do have a collection put together from my last trip to New York. So I have some videos that I did shoot with my DSLR. I have an iPhone video here of me just standing in the middle of Times Square shooting. And as you can tell, I'm not doing anything. I'm just in the regular grid view, and I'm just hovering my mouse over the video. I'm not clicking. I'm not holding down any keys. I'm not doing anything. And as I hover over the video and just go from left to right, it actually lets me scrub. That's called scrubbing. It lets me scrub the video. So that's cool. How can I tell what's a video and what's a photo? So let's start with that. Well, one of the first ways you can tell what's a video is that you'll see a time in the lower left corner. So we know that's 16 seconds. We know that's 21 seconds. We know that's 31 seconds. So all your videos will have a time code and all your stills will not. Your stills will just be stills like they always were. So how do you get these videos into Lightroom or Lightroom Classic? The same way you get your photos in. So let's just address this and get this out of the way right off the bat before I forget. When we are out shooting, whether it's with your phone, whether it's with your regular camera, your DSLR, your mirrorless, whatever you're shooting with, every camera built in the last, I don't know, decade, let's just say safely the last 10 years, has a video capability. Like, I don't know of any cameras that can't shoot video. And you're already set up for success if you're out shooting because you're already in a great location. You already got a great subject, probably already got great lighting. You're probably already all set because you've been taking stills. Before you put that camera away, flip it to video. I know you're like, oh my God, I've never even used that feature. And just hit the record button for a few seconds. Pan, do something like to just, if you're photographing a person, have them like pose in real time, like they're doing their thing. If you're skateboarding, they're doing backflips, whatever it is, capture a few moments of that on video. And that will help you tell your story in the ways that you're not used to telling your stories. Stills are great, and I will always love stills, but there's no reason now not to use video. Like, I can't think of a single reason. And the traditional reason that people, especially photographers, haven't grasped video is because they think it's hard. And traditionally, yeah, you had to learn a whole nother program that wasn't necessarily easy. I'm speaking of like Premiere Pro. And also it would be, even let's say you were willing to do that, it's not part of the photography program. So if you're on the photography plan, which gets you Photoshop and Lightroom or Lightroom and storage, whatever it is, you'd have to pay extra for a video editing tool. So that's another barrier for photographers not wanting to do video. So that's why I'm dedicating today. I've shown video editing apps before. I've shown Premiere Rush. I've shown other things. Today I'm dedicating how to do this all in the program many of you are already using, Lightroom Classic. Okay, so we already talked about number one, the difference, how we can see the difference between the videos. We talked about number two, how to get the videos in. When you click import and you either go to your memory card or a folder on your hard drive that you grabbed everything onto, your videos are going to come right in too. So if you shot any video with your camera, you shot any video with your phone, and it's in that same folder, when you import, here come the videos. So you don't have to do anything extra. You don't have to do anything special. The videos will come in right alongside the stills. You can organize them any way you want. They're going to come into a folder. You can put them in collections like I've done. I put them in this collection and just treat them until you're ready to edit. No different than you would a still. All right, so now that we've got the how do I get here out of the way, how did I get to this spot out of the way, now let's talk about how to put together a video. So first and foremost, I strongly recommend you cull down the images and video, or just the video, or just the images, whatever you want to do, to a collection. And then more importantly, once you're in that collection, put them in the order you want to tell the story in. So all my videos are up front. Then randomly my stills are below there. I may not even use all those stills. So start with a collection, narrowing it down to just the ones you want to use. Then put them in order. So let's start the order process. So I would say the first thing I want to show is, hey, I got this kind of out of the plane window iPhone shot of New York. There's Freedom Tower way there in the background. I don't think I've done anything to this photo, so it's kind of washed out. But I've got the photo there, and I'm going to go ahead and drag that photo right to the front, because that's where I want to kind of start with the trip itself, with being in the air, and then we land, and whatever. So start telling your story the way you would tell your story. Like, what did you do next? So the next thing I did was I actually and this is going to be kind of making some of this up along the way because I don't have supporting footage for all of this. The next thing I did is I got up the next morning and we went to this Brooklyn park to shoot the skyline, and got there too late. So it was the sun, by the time we were there, the sun was already too much up for me to get the kind of shots I want. So I'm kind of telling that story. And I could put a supporting shot of the skyline in the daytime, which I don't think I have. So let me go grab that real quick. I'm going to go to my travel folder, my New York collection set, my New York 2023, and let's go. Yeah, so here's like one of the shots from that. Actually, that's probably one of my favorites. So I think I already edited that one. So I've already set that collection. I think I set it as a target collection so that if I just hit the letter B, as in Bravo, it will go ahead and add that photo to the collection, and it did. All right, so now I got there in the morning. This is kind of the behind the scenes, the video, and then that's the still resulting from it. And then you would just keep going, telling the story. So next we walked over to the Manhattan Bridge and Dumbo and all that. So that would come up next. Kind of took that along the way. And then we got, and here's a behind the scenes of that. So maybe I want to put that first. And then here's one of the finished shots from that. So I'll put that after. So I'm just retracing my steps of this trip and what I did on each step of the way. All right, so then we got over to Dumbo, and I got two different versions of the Dumbo shot. I got the one from this trip and the one last time I was there. So I could use either one. I could tell the story of how, we got there, we took that shot. I got some behind the scenes, but you get the idea. You're just telling your story. Then I actually used the new AI features in Photoshop to remove all the cars. And I can even say, I can maybe tell the story, hey, here's the one from last year. Maybe I'll put that one in first. And then the ones from this year. So just dragging them in order. That's it. Telling my story, putting things in order, so forth and so on. Then I have some video because I didn't get the shot that I wanted that morning. So we went back that evening. So I've got a couple videos of what it looked like at night. And again, I don't need both of these, so I'd pick the one I want. And then I got the shots that I wanted that night. So let's go ahead and put that one in. And then the next day, went over to Times Square. So there's a picture of me, or a video of me just spinning around in Times Square shooting. And then that would be probably, I don't even see any of my Times Square stills. But anyway, we'll just use the videos for now. So lots of different videos, and maybe that was it. Maybe I was just shooting video in Times Square. I don't know that I necessarily took any stills. And then we just have some random other New York pictures. So that night, went over to the Brooklyn Bridge, stood at the edge of it. We didn't walk all the way across, but next time we will. And then I have some other random shots. So for example, I like this shot where this was from another trip where I photographed someone holding up their phone shooting the Statue of Liberty. And then of course I have Statue of Liberty shots, but do I need both of them? I don't think I need both of them. So at that point, I would just simply remove the one I don't need from the collection. I didn't take it out of Lightroom. I'm just saying I don't want to use it for this project. Don't need it. And before we got there, I'm going to actually use the shot from the harbor. There we go. That's kind of a nice pano shot. Yep, there we go. And I got that one too. So which one do I want? Because I don't need both. So I probably take out the other one. Don't need the other one. All right. And then I can wrap it up wherever I want. So I can wrap it up and say, hey, this is going to be kind of the end. Maybe this stuff goes before that stuff. Do I need both of those? Nope, I don't need, oh, and this is kind of like two different times. So this was, I kind of like that view. I kind of like that view. Maybe I'll keep both. All right, I'll keep both of those. They're two different, totally different views. And let's say that's it. Let's say for example's sake, that's my video. All right, so now all I did, nothing you haven't done before, put a collection together, my favorites, videos, stills, and put them in the order I wanted them in. Great. Now what's next? What's next is getting the videos ready. And what do I mean by that? We already know how to get stills ready. You've been doing that for years. You go into the develop module, you adjust it. Maybe you go to Photoshop, you do more. You basically get the stills to be as perfect as you want them to be. But the videos are just straight out of the camera. Nothing's been done to them. And there's only certain things you can do to them in Lightroom Classic. So let's talk about editing a video. So let's start with this one that's 12 seconds. So let's double click on it. When I double click on it, it's just like a photo. It takes me in the loop view, but the difference is down here at the bottom, it actually puts a playhead, a timeline, and all that at the bottom. Well, not a timeline. It puts the details of the video down here. So if I hit play, and there's audio with this as well. So I'm hearing the audio, I'm watching it, and okay, yeah, I'm just panning the area. Great, and this was shot with my Z8, my Nikon. All right, so that's cool, but do I need all of that? And that's the question you should be asking yourself for every single clip. If I could give you one piece of advice for video, no matter what you're doing, no matter what video program it is, no matter what your project is, shorter is better. So if you have a 10-minute video that you can get down to 8 minutes, you have an 8-minute video, you can get down to 5 minutes. You have a 5-minute video, you can get down to 3 minutes. Whatever you can get it down to, everyone silently applauds. Because the minute your video is longer than it needs to be, people check out, or they may not watch it at all. We've all been there. Someone sends you a link to a video, and the video is 20 minutes. Let's say 20 minutes. And you're like, oh, I don't really have time to watch that right now. 20 minutes? Oh, I'm busy. I'm in the middle of something. And you have good intentions. I'm going to go back and watch that later. And you never do. But if that same video is maybe 7 minutes, oh, I got 7 minutes right now. I can watch it right now. So shorter is also going to get you more views, because just psychologically, we don't click on things that are long, as I'm in this hour-long masterclass, by the way. So I totally understand and sometimes break my own rule, but make it as short as possible. Now, this is a time slot that I have to fill, so that's why it's an hour. But if I weren't restricted by the time slot on Adobe Live, maybe some of these master classes would only be 20 minutes. Maybe some would be 30. Maybe some would be an hour and 5 minutes. But the point is, they would be no longer than they needed to be. So that's the other thing to think about. Okay, so here's a question. Somebody said, edit them before you import to Lightroom? Well, it depends on what you mean by edit. I'm teaching you, like, this is what you're going to do as a Lightroom Classic user. If you already know how to edit a video in another program before you get to Lightroom, then you don't need Lightroom. So no, don't edit the video before you get to Lightroom Classic. Otherwise, just do it in another program. All right, so now we've got the video here. And let's say I don't need all of this beginning. Like, it kind of slowly goes from here to here. Let's say I want to start there. Like, so I'm literally cutting the video down in half. Now, let me show you what's going on down here. You got the playhead on the left. You got the little knob in the middle that lets you scrub the video back and forth manually. You got the time. So I'm at 6 seconds of this, whatever it was, 12-second clip. And then you got a little menu here and a little gear. So let me click the gear. Clicking the gear exposes the rest of this edit for the video, or this edit interface. So on the left-hand side of that, and the right-hand side, you've got what looks like a curtain. You can pull this in manually to tell it where the video will start. So if I pull it over here, the video will start at that spot. Now, you can always do this manually, and I've always done it manually for years, but there are keyboard shortcuts for it too. So if I scrub to where I want this to start, I don't need all of this stuff, and you're going to have tons of that. You're going to have because you might be waiting for something to happen. I mentioned a skateboarder. Maybe the skateboarder is prepping. Maybe it's a ballerina. Maybe it's whatever, and they're getting ready. You got the video rolling before they actually do whatever it is you're recording. You're not going to just hit record and hope you catch it in time. So you're going to have a lot of this upfront fluff that we don't need to see. You want the action, and then at the end, you don't need the stuff that happens after it's over. So you're going to be trimming most of your videos down to only the important part that counts. Edit as in color grade. We're going to talk about that in a minute. All right, so let's scrub over to where I want to be. And I want to be right, let's say right there. And I'm going to hit the Shift I for end point. Notice it said set trim start. So I can either pull the curtain over manually or Shift I to tell it start here. I is in in. So you have an in point and you have an out point. Now, so the video will always start there no matter what and it's non-destructive. I can always come back and pull it just like anything else in Lightroom. And it kind of stops where I need to stop. But let's say, for the sake of example, I want to stop it here, like before we get all the way over to the other side. Because all we're going to see is more trees. So let's say I want to stop it right about there. So Shift O for out, and that will set the end point. Or I could have just manually pulled the right curtain in. So now, until I change it, every time I use this video in Lightroom Classic, we're going to start here and start here. Or in here. It's never going to show the other parts until I manually expose those other parts. Okay, so that's one set of things we would do. Next up, and someone mentioned this, well, so do I, what did you say? Do I edit them before I import them in Lightroom? So let's say you want to adjust the tonal values, you want to add some contrast, you want to do these things. You can do these in Lightroom Classic. Now, I'm showing all of this in Lightroom Classic because the next module we're going to go into only exists in Lightroom Classic. It doesn't exist in Lightroom Cloud. But I will say this about Lightroom Cloud and Lightroom on your phone. Lightroom Desktop, the cloud version, and Lightroom on your phone and Lightroom on your tablet have better editing for video in terms of tonal, like in terms of what you can do. So for example, let's say, oh, I want to run auto tone, I want to run dehaze, I want to run all that stuff on this video. If I head over to the develop module with this video, I'm going to get disappointed. Video is still not supported in the develop module, and I don't know that it ever will be, but it's still not supported in the develop module. So as much as you would love to come over here and adjust the video and make it match your photos and all that, you just can't in Lightroom Classic. You can in Lightroom Mobile, but not in Lightroom Classic. But you're not left out. I'm going to show you a couple tricks. Number one, you can do basic things in a module you probably don't play with very much. You can quick develop video. So if I hit quick develop, all these quick develop controls I can do on video. That's why they're accessible. So I can set the white balance. I can make it a custom white balance. I can, oh, do I get oh yeah, I should get an interface for that. So I can adjust the temperature of this. I can warm this up. So I'm exaggerating. I can cool this way down. So I'm adjusting, and it's not just doing that frame. If I warm this all the way up and I scrub the video or play the video, it's the whole video. It's not just the frame. So you are adjusting the whole video in Quick Develop. So you can do that kind of stuff here. So I'm going to actually cool it off quite a bit because it was blue hour. So I'm going to just exaggerate it, make it more blue than it was. You do have auto tone. You do have exposure, so I can darken it just a little bit. And you do have clarity and vibrance. And you might be saying, well, where's saturation? Where is sharpen? And here's one of the tricks. If you hold down your Option key on the Mac or Alt key on Windows while you're in Quick Develop, you'll get those options. So here's saturation. If I let go, it's vibrance. Here's clarity. If I let go, it's sharpening. So I can increase the saturation of this. I'm just, again, exaggerating just so we can visually see it. And then I can make that be my video. And again, all non-destructive. You're not changing the video at all. So you might be saying, well, Terry, where do I get my curves? Where do I get this? Where do I get that? Where do I get all this other stuff? You don't have all that other stuff because Quick Develop has only had those things. That's it. But here's the trick I was going to show you. All right, so let's say we're done with that video. Let's go to a different one. Let's go to, let me see which one I want to use first. This one's kind of starting up there and then going over there. It's kind of, all right, that's kind of not great. How about this one? Oh, I like this one because there's a boat going by. Okay, so I went either way. Let me show you a quick tip right off the bat. I remember what this was because I remember pointing at the rocks and then moving my camera up. But 6 months from now, I may not ever remember, like, wait, why was I shooting videos of rocks? So what I would rather see is this as the thumbnail, or what we call poster frame, when I look at this in the grid. So at least I know what it was. And if the rocks are important to you, then of course keep the rocks. But in this case, if I want to set this as the poster frame, this has nothing to do with the color grading. I just want to show you this tip while I'm thinking about it. You have this, remember I showed you the gear? Well, you have this little menu on the left of the gear, and there's a set poster frame, which basically means make this the thumbnail. So now when I set that as the poster frame, it doesn't do anything to the video. It just means when you see it in the grid, the rocks are still there, but you see that as the new thumbnail in the grid, so you know what that video is about. So if your camera was pointing at the ground, the sidewalk, and you panned up a building, well, you wouldn't want the sidewalk to be the thumbnail because you wouldn't remember what that was. So you'd pan up to the building or scrub over to where you pan up to the building, set that as your thumbnail. Now you know what that video is when you see it in the grid. That's just a bonus tip. All right, now we're going to go in and let's say we want to color grade this beyond what I can do in Quick Develop. And you really can't, because it is what it is. You can't go over to the develop module with this video. But you can go over to the develop module with a still, right? So I noticed in here, there was an option. Let me go to where the good part is. There was an option called capture frame. If I capture a frame, and you might have lots of uses for this. You have a video where you pan to, or you shot something with video that you wish you had a still of that. You didn't shoot the still, you have the video. Well, that's what this is for. It makes a frame and whatever the resolution is of the video. So if I click capture frame, it's going to make an image and put it in the same collection, in the same folder right here inside of Lightroom. And it makes it a, wait, does it, hang on, hold on, gee. Oh, there's my frame. I was going to say, where's my frame? All right, so there's my frame. It makes it a JPEG. So I'm going to put my frame right here. And so I'm putting my frame right next to it in the timeline. Now, I don't need that for the video. I need that for the next thing we're going to do. So here's the still. It's just a still. It's not a video. Here's the video. So there's just basically a different spot in time, but that's what it is. So if I select the still, hold down my shift key and select the video, keeping in mind the still is what we call the most selected because it's got the whiter frame around it. Remember, see how this one's a little grayer? This one's brighter white, so that means it's the most selected. As long as I select the still as the most selected and the video I'm kind of bringing along for the ride, when I click develop, I'm developing the still, right? Because I can bring stills into the develop module. I can do that all day long, but the video is still selected. And as long as I have auto sync turned on, anything I do to the still will happen to the video. Yep. So that's the trick. So I can have field day in here now. I can go make it brighter. And again, I'm exaggerating just so you'll see it. And in a second or two, you'll notice it happened. It happened to the video. Oh my God, how did that work? All right, I'm going to highlights. Let's pull those highlights back. Let's pull those shadows back a little bit more, give it a little bit more contrast. Let's crank up the vibrance a bit. And everything I'm doing to this still is happening to the video, even though you can't do this in Develop module with a video. Now, everything's not supported. If you go into dehaze, for example, I mentioned that as an example, it'll let me dehaze the still, but it'll do weird things to the video because dehaze isn't even supported for the video under the hood. Because that's what we're doing. We're stealing a feature that's under the hood, built-in support, but was never exposed in the Develop module. So you can do, and you can even go into the tone curve. So you can even use curves on this if you want. And adjust that, there we go. So you can really go in and do the kinds of things you want, and both of those things will happen to both. So if I wanted to go in and make it black and white, I could. If I wanted to do any of these things, I could, and it will do it to the video as well. So all of the things I just did, now if I go back to the grid to hit the letter G, all of that stuff happened to the video. Even though you can't edit a video in the Develop module. So for the person asking about color grading, no, you don't have to do it first. You just have to be sneaky about it, as someone posted, as Oliver posted. So that would be how you would do it. Now, of course, I wouldn't delete the still, because if I ever want to go back and re-edit this, I would keep the still alongside it. But I don't need it for the video. I don't need the still and the video. I just need the video. So I would take the still out of this collection, just so you know. I don't need either one because I'm going to use the other one. But I just showed you a way to get video visually edited and trimmed and poster frame and all of that set right here in Lightroom Classic. How many of you didn't know this stuff existed, right, for video? Okay, so let me just make sure I got everything I wanted to cover there. So we covered the trimming. So if I didn't want to start with the rocks, I would go from, let's say, here, and I would hit the Shift-I for set that as my trim start. And if I then wanted to go all the way across and maybe stop there, Shift-O, and so I've trimmed it, and that will be the, so we have the 14, well, we have whatever this is going to be when it's trimmed. So once I get out of this, we'll see the time. But that's where it starts now, where you can probably hear the audio from my speaker. We can set a capture. We can capture a frame of that if we need it. We can expose the editing. That's it. So that's all you can do with a video here. All right, so now let's go ahead and get rid of these two out of the collection because I don't need them for this project. So I'm just going to select them both, hit delete. They're out of the collection. They're still in the folder. They're still everywhere they're supposed to be. And now we'll go to this one. This is the one I do want, where the boat's kind of going across. And then I kind of start doing this zooming stuff, and I kind of like just freak out a little bit. So I don't need that zoom. So I'm going to just go to where I start zooming and stop right there and do Shift-O. So and all I'm doing is I'm leaving the endpoint on the left side. And I'm saying on the right side, no, I don't need any of that other stuff where I was kind of doing crazy stuff with the zooming. We just have a boat going by and it stops right there. All right, so now we got that done, and we could go into quick develop. We could adjust the temperature on this one. We can cool this off a little. Oh, we cooled it off a lot. Warm that up a little bit more, a little bit less. Now, you might, and by the way, I've been doing this without telling you what I was doing. You have two sets of arrows. We have one arrow and a double arrow for every single thing. So the one arrow means do it a little. The double arrow means do it a lot. So that's why it jumped to blue so quick, because I clicked the double arrow like 3 times. All right, so now we got that one toned the way I would want. You can go in and do other things. And if you wanted to go into develop, we already know how to do that. Take a still, head over to the develop module, do everything you want to do there. And we're done with that part. Okay, I want to trim one more, this one, where I'm out there. Yeah, so like, I don't need these first few seconds. I don't need that. I would say I want to start right there after I turn the camera. Oh, and I don't need that. So I want to start right there. So Shift-O or I, that's where it starts. And then we swing around me. And I'm going to say right about there is where I want to stop. All right, Shift-O. All right, so that one's ready to go. I don't need to do anything else to it. And let's go here. And basically just rinse and repeat. Do anything else I want to do. I'm just going to keep this one the way it is. That's kind of just a pan. And this is probably just another pan. Slower pan of the ground level. And that's good. We'll keep that one the way it is. And then, of course, the rest are stills. Easy. Ready to go. So now we're ready to put the video together. We prepped. Basically, this process was prepping all the content. You already know how to edit the stills. We've done that a million times. I'm not going to go over any of that. You prepped your video. That was what we learned today. All your clips are now trimmed exactly just to the parts you need. Visually adjust it using Quick Develop or the Trick in the Develop module. Yeah, so we're done editing the clips. We're done editing the stills. Time to make our video. Time to put our video together. Terry, I see library, develop, map, book, slideshow, print, and web is hidden. Where's video? There isn't one. But there's a video component in slideshow. So the slideshow module is your video editor. Or your video, your video finishing tool. I'll put it that way. Because you already assembled it. You already got your video ready to go. So let's go to slideshow. And let's start on this right-hand panel from top to bottom. And this will help your video be better. Now, first and foremost, before I forget, the slideshow module was always designed to create a slideshow at whatever your monitors, your display's resolution's at. Luckily for this stream, I'm already at HD. I'm at 1920 by 1080. So it's perfect for a video. But if you're using your regular display, you could be at 4K, you could be at 5K, you could be at all kinds of resolutions that aren't necessarily good video resolutions. So video works best at 16:9 aspect ratio. So basically 1920 by 1080, 38 whatever by 21 whatever for 4K, so forth and so on. So if your monitor is not at the right resolution, not at a 16:9 resolution, then you're going to see bars on the left-hand side and right-hand side of your content. I'm just letting you know that's what happens. So if that's happening to you, change your monitor resolution, and then your video will be better. So starting with the top. Remember that, by the way, if we go back to the grid real quick, remember that still was kind of like cropped square almost? It's not like widescreen. But obviously I don't want to see black bars when this video comes up. So I've checked the box right at the top of the panel here. Zoom to fill frame. You could either manually crop it, like if you want to control what's shown in a 16:9 window, then manually crop it with 16:9 aspect ratio, and that will be your video. That will be your still will be cropped exactly the way you want it. But if you don't, like, it doesn't matter for this. Zoom to fill will take care of it for you. Next option, I don't need a border. I don't need a stroke border around the content. I don't need it to cast a shadow. I can show the guides, but I don't really need the guides for this. I don't need my identity plate over every single, over the whole video. I guess if you needed to watermark the video for some reason, you could do that. I don't need that. I'm going to turn that back off. So I don't need any watermarking. I don't need an identity plate. I don't want to see my ratings or stars or any text overlays. I don't want to see anything on top of the content. That's what all that stuff is. If you do have black bars because maybe you have a vertical picture that just won't work in a wide video, you can control what's on the sides of that by setting this color wash. So this color wash area and background area, this controls, that's why it's called backdrop. This controls what you see on the areas that don't fill the screen. That's all. All right, next up, titles. And this is something we're going to spend a few minutes on in a moment after we get through all this. We're going to come back to this. You have an option for an intro screen and an option for an ending screen. I've got them both enabled, and right now they're just enabled for my identity plate, that Terry White Photography in the upper left corner. You can either use your identity plate or you can hit edit and go make something new. We're going to come back and do just that. I will forewarn you that most likely your identity plate is very small and low resolution. Like my identity plate is like literally, I don't know, 40 pixels tall by like 100 and something pixels wide. It's very, 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 like very not good. So the video of you talking is about a full second of audio. Try jumping out and coming back in. I have no other control over it. You're on Facebook. I can't do anything about it. So if the video is not in sync, try coming out, coming back in, or watching it on a different platform. Okay, so next up, music. Yes, you can put music in this. So we can have a background track, which we're absolutely going to do because music makes the video. And slideshow mode. So we're going to get into this as well. So right now, I've got it set to automatic because I want it to just play. Manual would be, you would be advancing the slide. So like you're given a slideshow in front of an audience. You would hit next slide, next slide, next slide. So we're not doing that. We're actually trying to make a video. Now, how long? The videos will be, like the clips will play as long as they are. So if they're 12 seconds, they'll play 12 seconds. If you trimmed it down to 6 seconds, they'll play 6 seconds. But the stills, how long do you want them to be? How long do you want them to stay on screen? So right now, my still length is set to 5 seconds, and that's way too long. So if I were going to do this manually, I'd go down to probably, I don't know, 3 to 4 seconds, somewhere in that ballpark. All right, crossfades. So these are transitions between the stills, or between all the content, between each one. Have it crossfade into the next. So if I do no crossfade, it will just be a cut. Still, still, still. If I do a crossfade by however long I want it to be, 20 seconds would be way too long. Let's do like 1.5 seconds. That's how much of a transition I get between them. You don't have multiple transitions. It's not a video editor. You don't have all that other stuff. This is just what it does. Now, I'm going to turn this off so we can see the difference, and we don't want to repeat. And then I'm also, since I have 2 displays, I get to tell it what display to put it on. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit preview right now. Don't be afraid of that dialog box. It has to build a preview. Now that logo looks okay, but the photography looks a little bitmapped because it's low resolution. And so now it's just playing. There's the next one, which is the video. There's the next one, which is a still. Next one, still. See how long 3.7 seconds is? It's really long. So that's what I mean. You might even go 3 seconds or 2 seconds because it's a long time for a still to stay up on screen. The other thing about the stills is that they're boring. I mean, I'm not visually, but they're just sitting there. This is a prime example. It's beautiful, but it's just sitting there. It's beautiful, but it's just sitting there. So let's stop this for a second. I'm going to hit my escape key to get out of this. So I hit escape. I'm going to go back to the beginning. And this is what I meant by pan and zoom, or this is what I meant. I would come back to this. Pan and zoom. Oh, zoom out a little bit. So pan and zoom. I'm going to turn that on. And you have an amount for it. So you have a low to high. And I'm going to just keep it right in the middle for now. So this will give some motion to your stills so they're not just sitting there statically. So now we hit preview. And it's got to build it for a second. You always get your, because we said play my identity plate for it. Now that still is moving. I didn't have to do anything but just check a box. The video is obviously moving, but that still is now moving. So this is all happening just by clicking a button, and we get that, somebody said that faux Ken Burns effect. That's a video, and I didn't trim this one. This one definitely needs to be trimmed. It's just too long. And we hear in the audio from the audio of the video. So that's another concern you might have. All right, a still that's moving. This is where we stopped it last time. A still that's moving, so it's picking and choosing which ones it zooms out, which ones it zooms in. Zooming out. Okay. Zooming in. Okay, so you get the idea. I'm not going to let the whole thing play. All right, you get the idea. So now, what do we do next? We add music. Because audibly, it's either silent or you're hearing random noise from the video, especially if it's behind the scenes. If it's behind the scenes of you setting up a shot, you moving the lights, there's nothing interesting to hear about that. Now, if you're talking, that's another story. But if it's just the random noise from the video capture, we don't need to hear that. I'd rather hear some music. So you can actually go in and click the plus sign under the music tab and go pick audio, go pick music, go pick MP3s, go pick Wave, maybe one or two other formats. You can go pick them. Here's where I cut a video that goes to a spot. The spot is gone too quick. Need to sit on the frame for a few seconds. Will copy the frame work? Yes, that will work. So I'll answer the question before we get to the audio. So let's say I was panning that bridge, and then I wanted to stop the pan. I want you to look at the bridge for a second. Then what I would do is capture a frame at that point where I stopped it, and then play the frame. And then the frame will actually be still, or it's going to pan and zoom too. So it depends on what you want. But yeah, that would be the solution, is to make it a still from that spot. All right, so now audio. Where's this audio? This is all royalty-free music I got. And you should be using royalty-free music if you're going to share this. So if you're going to share this out, first of all, if you share it on a platform like YouTube or whatever, and it's copyrighted, most likely they're going to mute it anyway. So if it's your favorite song from your favorite group, you don't have the rights to use that in your video. You just don't. So unless you got the rights to do it. So in this case, I'm using royalty-free music. There are lots of sources from royalty-free music, including YouTube. In your YouTube studio, there are lots of music tracks you can use. This is the one I want to use today. I don't know how well you can hear that because I didn't jack in the audio for the stream, but it sounds pretty jazzy, pretty nice. So, and by the way, you can use more than one audio. So if you have a long movie and your audio clips are short, you can use more than one if you want. But I'm going to go ahead and just put this one in. And if you want to add another one, just click the plus sign and add another one. You can add as many audio clips as you need. Now it's letting me know that this audio clip is only 1 minute and 38 seconds. So that's technically how long my video is going to be, because I don't want to hear silence. So I want the audio to be, I want the video to be whatever the audio is. So if I put in a 5-minute song, video is going to be 5 minutes. If I put in a 3-minute song, video is going to be 3 minutes. So whatever it's going to be. If you put in multiple songs, it's just going to add up to whatever it's going to be. All right, so now, if I were to do nothing else, I just want to make sure nothing else is checked. Yeah, if I were to do nothing else, and I were to hit play or preview, it makes a big difference when you have music. A huge difference when you have music. I can't stress this enough. Your video will suck without music unless there's talking. Unless it's something specific, a soundtrack. Let's put it this way. Your music will suck, or your video will suck without a purposeful soundtrack. So even this doesn't feel too long anymore with music behind it. But when we were watching this in silence, it felt like it was taking forever. Okay. Remember that clip, this one right here? Remember how it sounded without the music? Like we could hear the people, like me talking, Victoria talking, we could hear the stuff going on in the background. Why don't we hear it now? Like we heard the music, why did it stop playing the background stuff? Because you have a slider for audio balance. So this audio balance slider lets you choose, lets you decide what's more important, the music or the sound of the videos. Now, if there's no video, if it's just a still, you're still going to hear the music loud and clear. But if someone were narrating something and you wanted to hear that person talking, then you would move it towards video. If the video is complete, if the audio from the video is completely unimportant, background noise, don't care, then you can move this all the way over, like completely mute these audio from the other things. All right, what was your shutter speed on the bridge photo to get the water like that? Oh, it was a long exposure. I can go quickly look at that for you. Let's quickly jump out. That one was... That one was 57 seconds. So that was almost a minute to get the water and sky to look like that. All right, back to the slideshow. Okay, the background sound is my favorite. Yeah, so now, remember I said it's a 1 minute, 38-second track? Well, what if I have more content than 1 minute and 38 seconds? So it's just going to keep playing and then the sound cuts off? That wouldn't be very good. So you have a couple of things you can do. You can either do one or the other. You can say fit to music, and this time it's telling me I have too much stuff. In other words, it's not going to play properly if I leave all these slides in because the soundtrack is too short. So that's not going to work for this unless I get rid of some slides. So if I get rid of some content, then we can get it to fit or add more music, one or the other. The other one is sync slides to music. We can try that one. So instead of the slide length being a specific 3.7 seconds or 2 point whatever seconds, it's going to try to fit the whole thing to the music itself. So let's see what happens. Let's go back. Now, it doesn't always interpret the beat of the music right, so just forewarned. It's doing a good job this time, though. You'll see, you don't even see some of the clips because they're so short. All right, that would be it. So it's a balance. If I wanted to do it the other way, and we're almost out of time, if I want to do it the other way, I can turn that off. And I'm just going to delete some slides real quick to see if we can make this work. Let's say we get rid of these three. And let's say we bring this down. I don't think that should matter. Oh, let's bring the crossfades down too quite a bit. And now let's say fit to music. Okay, that worked. So I just got rid of a couple slides and I said fit to music. We're not going to do the sync to whatever. And so now this says I'm just going to make this 1 minute 38 seconds long because I'm fitting the content to the music. So stuff's staying on the screen a little longer because you have less content. So you can see a little bit more of the video, for example. A lot more of the video. So it's taking all of that into account when it's trying to fit the whole thing to the music. All right, two things before we run out of time. We got like 1 minute, less than a minute left. So I'm going to head over here. Remember, I don't like this identity plate thing. Instead, we're going to choose edit. And we're going to, we're not going to do that. We're going to go in. We're going to choose, not edit. We're going to choose main identity plate. No, I want to edit. There we go. I want to use a text style. There we go. There we go. So I'm going to say life in the big city. I want that to be it. I want it to be a better font than that. Let's use my go-to script. And we're going to make it nice and big. nice and big. And we're going to fill it, or yeah, the text. Let's click OK. So life in the big city. We're going to go back to that for a second. I want that to be, oh, it is white. There we go. And it didn't pick up my font. But anyway, you can make your own graphic to start your video, or just go into Photoshop and make one. So I'll just make a 16:9 starting image and a lower or ending image with credits or whatever else you want. And it will use that instead. But right now, if we were to use this one, it would be this. So you don't have to use your identity plate. You can use whatever you want. All right, last but not least, how do you get this out of here as a video? On the bottom left-hand corner, click Export Video. And that will give you your settings, including 1080p and where you want to save it, and it will render and make a video for you to use. That's my time, folks. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for watching. Go make some videos. Tag me in them. Let me see what you did. Later, everybody.